You look at Todd V, you look at RSD Julian, you look at RSD Tyler, and you love complicated tactics. You love it when the game is complicated because you're autistic. And before you leave, and before people has a thumb up their ass and getting depressed because RSD victims are dropping like flies, I want to talk about this topic. Even if I lost my voice a little bit, I have to get this message out there. Why do autistic RSD victims love to overcomplicate things, to ego trip? Since they lack the simplicity of social skills, which is why they dismiss. There I was, a day game coach, trying to get every Asian men laid. The thing is, at the time, RSD was overcomplicating shit, trying to sound smart. The big problem was that while my stuff sounded simple, it worked, leading to 477 laid full testimonials. For a day game, that was smart, even if it was simple. Their stuff only led to 1% RSD victims laid with higher SMV, trying to sound smart. Ego tripping with so-called RSD secret mindsets, which was actually quite dumb. That meant the more autistic or dumb a person was, the more they lacked depth in their thinking. The easier it is for RSD sheeps to dismiss, since they are know-it-alls who knows it none. Since you don't know what you don't know, which made a lot of people dismiss my coaching because they want to feel smart, ego tripping, mentally masturbating. Even if my coaching is backed by the most students laid in day game in the entire world, even combined many times over for day game, then I made a big realization. I realized science versus sounding technical, like RSD taught. I mean, science is a repeatable process. Instantly, it became crystal clear to me that to get the students laid using a scientific process or field testing, or also AV split testing, because I saw that I wasn't having opinions as facts like most sociopathic dating coaches. I was having facts as opinions, even if the autistic, shallow thinking RSD sheeps they dismiss. My plan was to start educating people that RSD victims has a shallow mental filter due to autism. They lack the depth in thinking. The best way to understand it is that they only see the surface level. It's almost like for RSD victims, the reason why they like to overcomplicate things. Let's draw on the board. Let's do it very quickly so you don't drop off being depressed. Imagine it's a glacier right here. It's huge. And for RSD, they only see on the surface level right here. So they like to overcomplicate things. They don't see the social skills. They don't see the social calibrations or the emotional control. They only want to see a game. So the more complicated, because they don't see in different levels. This is level 1, level 2, and level 3. It's like Inception. It's like Inception. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And RSD victims cannot perceive the deeper levels of thinking. It's just like, for example, we can use a book over here called the Bible. When you look at the Bible, for example, there's a lot of depth, and most people don't understand it. The Holy Bible right here. They'll start to look at the surface level, and they'll be like, okay, that's what it meant. That's kind of like an RSD victim, shallow thinking people. And I'm going to explain to you. So I started talking about RSD on YouTube live, since that email, that RSD sheep who claimed I need to study RSD Tyler and Julian's secret advanced mindset mental masturbation bullshit. And that was such a stupid statement, the most delusional statement ever. Because he said that, oh, your Asian sensation course, it seems too not complicated. And I said to him, well, I have 477 laid poll testimonials. And I have to make a video on that. And I said, how the fuck does that have 477 laid poll testimonials? He said, I don't know, but it needs to be more complicated. All the sheeps think exactly the same way. RSD sheeps. I'll explain to you why. I even made a video finally reviewing the secret 5 mindsets that all my student uses. Even if I didn't want that knowledge public, I didn't. But you guys don't understand it. There's 8 likes and 1 dislike. It doesn't make sense to you. Why is there only 5 mindsets instead of 50 RSD mindsets? You're like, shit. Since it actually works, which is a repeatable science, which includes, how coachable the student is. Look at the boot camp. Why do I yell at the students? Because I want him to be more coachable. How adaptable is the student? Now you know why I yell and make them do squats. I want them to be adaptable. How skillful the student is. The only way he can learn skills is if he's on the line and listening and doing it, adapting, being teachable, coachable. Now you can see that skills is the middle of the 5 mindsets and how much belief the student has in himself. The more he listens to what I fucking teach in the boot camp, the more he starts to have small victories. Women starts to stay longer. They start to have more Insta dates. And after that, they start pulling. Of course, they have their belief going up because they're succeeding. And afterwards, they get laid. In most cases, since I was John Wayne till now, I've only ever had 3 students that did not pull or get laid. Every single fucking student pulled or got laid. Every. If I'm just teaching by myself. Every. And you're like, holy shit. This is not a comfort camp, guys. These 5 mindsets are not bullshit. But RSD loves to complicate things. They like to make it more complicated than it really needs to be. Next one is how much belief the student has in themselves or reducing the doubt. And lastly, manifestation index. Do they have the right thoughts and feelings? And the only way they have the right thoughts and feelings is if they get the positive reference experience and they start to see women into them. They get their dick sucked in the boot camp. They bang at women. Then their vibe changes. So the wrong feelings is the RSD feelings, the high vibrational energy, because they don't want to be offended. They don't want to be, that's the wrong feeling, because when you're offended, your ego is high and your self-esteem is low. That's what's happening. So I scored the mindsets out of 10 each, a total of 50. 5 mindsets, 50. I can determine how fast a student will get laid. Seriously, even during COVID-19, their mindsets tanked. So RSD doesn't deal with the first 3 in the 5 mindsets. That's what you guys don't realize. Teachability. Does RSD deal with teachability? No, never. Because you don't have to be teachable. The sheep's already teachable to RSD. They'll listen to it 1,000%. They'll do exactly everything RSD says. How changeable are they? They don't even know what to change. This is assuming they're using my game because other people's game. They're 100% teachable, but they're not changeable. But the thing is, they'll listen to the other coaches that they worship. But they got no results. I digress. But you see that? RSD, they don't have teachability. They don't have changeability or adaptability. And they don't have any skills. They just SMV it. They just spam approach with their SMV, taking massive action because of the so-called RSD complicated mindsets and tactics. Like RSD taught, overcomplicating shit. So, now that you know they don't deal with the last or the first 3, they deal with the last 3 or last 2. They deal with believability because RSD victims believe in themselves. They believe no matter what, you don't have to dress well. You don't have to actually have social skills. Height doesn't matter. You are enough. So they have this believability in themselves, 100%. And every time they keep spam approaching, it goes lower and lower and lower because they no longer believe in themselves because they failed so many motherfucking times. And then that's the thing. The thoughts and feelings are a little bit fucked. But RSD at least have the belief in themselves, the delusional belief. Let's continue. But I didn't stop there. I then educated people here that Todd V has 2 late testimonials after all these years of complicating shit. You're like, fuck. How long has Todd V been in the game? 21 motherfucking years. How many years have I been in the game? 20 years. It's not that much difference, is there? But however, I split test things. I also field test things. Todd Valentine sounds complicated. He sounds technical. But how come he only has 2 late testimonials and people are dropping off? It's like, oh no, John's hit a nerve. Look at Charisma King. How many lay testimonials does he have? As he likes to mentally masturbate, trying to feel good with his delusions, thinking he knows better. With his stupid fucking advice, complicating things like, oh, it's acting lessons is important. You gotta work on everything that they say. Overcomplicating things have no bearing on reality. It's delusional. And why do they do that? Because RSD has a very shallow mental filter, the RSD victims. So, all of that delusional mental bullshit of idealistic thinking is not proof-based thinking of mental masturbation. For low self-esteem RSD victims, to ego trip, SMVing it, spam approaching, pumping their so-called mental masturbation, trying to feel smart when they are not that bright. They're not that bright. After that, I educate you with this video YouTube live thing. While being scientific is different than being technical. RSD can be technical all they want, but if it's not a repeatable science, it does not matter. It does not matter because they don't have student results. And you look at other people using Julien Blanc's game, especially before in Vancouver, these other dating coaches who are Asian. Guess what happened? Not a single fucking student got laid. Overcomplicated. They think RSD Julien is complicated because they'd like to self-amuse and ask a stupid, autistic, simple-minded question. And then self-amuse again. Ask another, where are you from? Self-amuse again. Are you from Vancouver? Self-amuse again. What do you do for fun? Self-amuse. What's your number? They have very little in the way of the watch time. Just like YouTube. How much people have been watching this video is a watch time. For RSD, their fucking infields are like 2 minutes, Julian's. And that kind of derivative. 2 fucking minutes of autism. There's no social comfort. There's no social skills. That they're wondering how come it doesn't work for the students. Because they don't have high SMV. That 1% is more vocal than the other people. Don't you get it? Overcomplicating things. For them, that's advanced level game. And I tried to recite that exact game in the past. And it sounds autistic as hell. At the time, you thought it was very, very... You see, there's no likes here because this is so on the fucking nose. RSD is nothing but mental masturbation because they have no social skills. Glad to see you're doing another live. Need to hear more of your truth. I need to be here more often. You guys are not getting it. Even though RSD, the cancer, stopped growing, the cancer is still there. It needs to be cut out. It is dangerous. It's going to ruin your lives. You are not here for positive reactions. You are here for positive compliance. That's why I teach, because when you have no social skills, RSD victims, you have to ego trip with overcomplicated tactics. And just like Todd Valentine, they're thinking, oh, let's remember a checklist of 10 or 12 different things or 20 different things, and you'll be okay. That's how they like to mentally masturbate, because they feel like if they have long fucking DHV, I'll get into that. So there are tall ogres out there that claims they have the most optimized system. Yet they have 2 fucking late testimonials. Optimize my ass. Technical? Yes. Hardly scientific. If most of the students' results are 95% white on goddamn Tinder. White is right. White is right. Don't you get it? So it means white people have some SMV. You fucking pay $10K for that shit in 2 months. Yet for $600, you can get like your fucking dick sucked twice in day game if you do exactly everything I say. And you can bang the women. It's not some same-day pull infield or poo. Same-day poo is like a shit, right? Poo. Same-day poo or playing pool. Same-day poo. What the fuck is same-day poo? You don't want more poo infields. No. We want same-day lay infields. We don't give a fuck about poo or pull infields. Optimize my ass. So building on the success, I decided to educate people that being scientific doesn't mean it has to be complicated as long as it works for the students. So now you know. Just because somebody claims that they're fucking smart as shit, right? RSD believes that the lie, it would take a while for you to get... What the fuck? If my boot camp... Okay, I'm going to spell out for the RSD victims out there. If my boot camps, almost everyone, since I was John Wayne, I'm not talking about Gaming Elite. That's when I was starting out. I've been teaching since 2012. 2012. And that wasn't on public. 2014 was when I was on the internet teaching. I used to be a private dating coach for people locally in 2012 and onwards. So you think it takes a long time. Every fucking student either got laid or pulled. This is not a fucking taking massive action boot camp where you learn how to, talk to women and shit. This is a place where you get laid. Or if you don't get laid, you pull, but you disappoint me. The standards are that high. If the students can, almost all of them except 3, one short black student and 2 Asian students with too much cortisol in the system, all 3 of them have so much cortisol that they freeze up whenever they talk to women. Now, if you have too much cortisol, don't take my boot camp. Take some ashwagandha first. It doesn't matter because you go out there, you freeze up, you run out of things to say, your system shuts down. Perhaps you just spend 30 days or 60 days taking ashwagandha to reduce your cortisol. But other than that, every fucking student pulled or got laid. I mean, what the fuck? There is a way to do this. It does not take a long time. They're just overcomplicating things. Like, John, your boot camp looks simple, but you don't get it. The more simple it is, the more scientific it is. It does not have to be technical. It has to work. And I guarantee you, most of you cannot do the triangle flow drill. I already failed this fucking student over here who's asking me on the access. He's trying to do this triangular flow drill and he fucked it up. Now he has to buy a nicer watch, a gold watch, so that way he can compensate for his lack of, for his autism. But he couldn't even do it.
Tell me something interesting about you.
Too fast.
Something I would have not figured out about you just by looking at you.
Fuck, that's exactly the same as the social skills flow drill. You see that? Autistic people, they can't even do a simple 3-step fucking flow drill. That's complicated. That's advanced. And the guy in the email was saying, oh, your system doesn't look too advanced. It looks pretty simple. Well, it's simple. The thing that people you think are advanced doesn't have any lay testimonials. Todd Valentine, 2 fucking lay testimonials. I mean, advanced my fucking ass. Seriously, that's so stupid. Advanced doesn't even make any fucking sense. So I would call it, would you rather sound smart, but the student results are dumb, almost non-existent in day game, as you go for positive reactions from women without positive compliance, ego tripping, pretending to do day game, even if you have no fucking idea what you're talking about? Or would you rather do something that is derived from a scientific process, split tested, that even works for short, skinny Asians with no SMV whatsoever? I mean, I'm not talking about 5'10", tall, strong Asians with muscles that are the token Asian anomalies, but something that is easy to dismiss, like my system, yet it works like gangbusters. It means it works like crazy. It sounds simple, but why does it have to be complicated? That's the question. Why does it have to be complicated? Doesn't make any fucking sense. And I'm telling you, because the RSD victims in this glacier example, because they cannot perceive all the social skills, social calibrations, emotional control, because they're perceiving the Bible on a very literal fucking level. They have no depth in their thinking due to autism. That's why when I went for an assessment, a mental assessment for Asperger's, the guy says, you're not Asperger's, John, because you're bright. He's saying you have depth in your thinking. He's basically telling me that these autistic people have no depth in their thinking and they're not bright. It's like, shit. So I did not get an assessment for any sort of autism. At that time, I want to see us, I wanted to have some kind of assessment. So at least I know. But apparently it's not ASD. And he was a top doctor before in Canada. And he was the one who introduced Adderall to the whole world as a supplement. That was him. Originally, he told me something like it was for, like cleaning the rust or horses or something like that. I know he did something like he took a different medicine, like Adderall, and the compound, and he used it towards, fucking ADHD, and it worked. Sometimes they do that. I forgot exactly what it was, but it was something else. It was not for ADHD. So, when we're talking about something that sounds simple is easy to dismiss, even if it works like gangbusters. If it works nonstop, one lay testimonial after another, it can be easily dismissed by dumb RSD cheaps. as sounding dumb. You might think my system sounds dumb. But to the shallow thinking RSD circle jerkers with low self-esteem, high autism, shallow thinking, dumb fuck delusional opinions as facts idiots, sociopaths who are just SMVing it. And here's the truth. As we know before, 1% of RSD victims gets laid for day game. Then they're the most vocal about it. They start telling everyone, RSD this, RSD that. Well, why does 1% get to dictate to the other 99% with low SMV? Doesn't make any fucking sense. 1%. 1% is still sizable. If we're looking at RSD as a whole, they're probably a very, very big nation. We're talking about over 400,000 people. 1% eventually bangs a woman that's below their look scale, maybe some white girl that's 4 out of 10. And the rest of the 99% will just go from one product to another. Oh, Julian stuff didn't work for me, so I'll go to Tyler again. Oh, Tyler stuff doesn't work for me. I'll go to Madison. Oh, Madison doesn't work, right? They'll go to another one. They'll go to Todd V. They go in a fucking endless loop, like a hamster cage to another hamster cage. They're all stuck because they want to sound complicated. They get no results. And during COVID, you know how many people quit day game now? I'm hearing from other RSD sheeps about RSD sheeps. They have dropped out. They have dropped out because RSD, they've been stuck in this overcomplicated shit for 6 to 8 years. 6 to 8 years. That's a long fucking time of just consistently getting knocked down. But they just have to take massive action and never give up. Not take no for an answer. Stupid. No calibration whatsoever. There's no teachability. There's no changeability. No adaptability. No skills. But they like to overcomplicate things. So then they go to engineering school or technical school after the 6 or 7 year mark. Around 7 years, they'll realize that, oh shit, they won't make it very far. The overcomplicated autistic shit because they can't perceive social skills. Can't stay long at work. Okay, no problem. Watch it afterwards. I'm going to keep this short for you. So that way you can get the message across. I make it too long, you guys will not get it. And I can see why there's only one like, because I'm hitting a nerve again, just like the last video. The last video hit too many nerves, the mindset thing. That means that this is how much you gaslighted. When I was John Elite before, or I'm John Wayne, I used to say exactly the same things. My video would be like 50% dislikes and 50% likes. Gentlemen, John Elite is the world's best at coaching game. I don't pigeonhole him and say day game. All right, thank you very much. But you can see before, right? You know how many people dislike my stuff. You should have seen my channel before. And years ago, everyone was like, John is a fucking heretic. How dare he make fun of RSD? John, what do you think is a good honest signals? He seems pretty good. I don't give a fuck about any of these honest signals. Just look at how many lay testimonials do they have. Fuck what I'm saying. Fuck what they're saying. Fuck their infields. Fuck my infields. Fuck all that shit for a second. Just look at the laid testimonials. You know everything you need to know about how good their so-called game or tactics or the mindsets are. Does that answer your questions? Just ignore what I'm saying. Look at the fucking testimonials. And the dumb sheeps are like, oh, I don't understand testimonials, or RSD doesn't collect tests. They don't have fucking testimonials because they're not getting laid during the training period. You understand? There's nothing to fucking collect. They're just spam approaching where 1% will get some type of result. They don't get it. But after all these years, after all these fucking years, you finally are listening to me because I got the most students laid for fucking day game for COVID-19 in the world combined. I beat everyone. But somehow now, after all these fucking years, when I'm nearing 500 laid poll testimonials, I'm getting there. It's 477. You finally listen to me, John Elite. You finally listen. Can you summarize your system? Can you explain to people why it's too weird or whatever? No, the thing is that my system is very simple. And my system is built on evolutionary psychology. They think this 30-day challenge, they call it some stupid acting lessons, is built on the social skills, basically, on social calibrations of a tribe member, the tribe leader. Very, very simple. Simple calibrations. But because it's so simple looking, then they dismiss it. The social skills portion, that's just the social calibration. The social skills portion is simplified. You don't need to do all this push-pull and all these flirts nonstop and romantic sexual shit. The thing is that body language already is romantic. Not romantic, fuck romantic, I mean sexualized. Because it's an undertone. While the spikes don't happen as fast as the other ones while they're hunching. My one, they consistently go up. The battery goes 1, 2, slowly. So during the whole fucking same day late, it's much higher in terms of the attraction and sexualizing. That means you don't need to spike it. And the other people that spike it, they have more SMV. They have the students that get results are the ones who fits into the boyfriend-girlfriend frame with romance. And the thing is that the emotional control is important too. Being chill like a natural. It's not about emoting or vibing your SMV. It's not about that. Because game is just a looks, money, and status delivery system. Does that make sense? So only certain people will get laid, a very small percentage. Versus my one is a skill-based system, but the skills do not look complicated. They're not like a bunch of stupid RSD complicated tactics. It's like always like, I'll explain it to you. I'll explain. Could you give us an example of social calibration? I've never heard of social calibration as a system itself. For example, most of the RSD victims will face her directly. And what happens is that if I talk to you and you're a girl like that, it looks very intimidating. You see that? I thought if you then say hi, you're cute, right? And give compliments, this will freak her the fuck out. A simple calibration in my boot camp, every time they face her, because they don't go direct, the women shits her pants and they always leave. She's off the line, okay? So Hayden, if you turn to the side like this, right? You see that? Let's say I'm halfway turned. You still feel some cortisol. You still feel some stress. You see that? Hey, I thought you're cute. You're like, you're half scared. Look what happens when I turn it all the way like this. Okay? Excuse me. I just have a quick question. See that? You don't feel threatened at all. Imagine I was a big, tall, 300-pound, 6'5" black guy. Okay? And I'm like, hey, excuse me. I have a question. Even if she was Asian and scared, she will not freak the fuck out. You see that? But if I was like, hey, I want to come by and say, fuck, she'll run the fuck away. You see that? A small calibration like that. Maybe like some people move their neck a lot when they talk. They're twitchy. By not moving the neck, that's another calibration. And using facial expressions that are congruent to what you're saying, which is very important, especially when you're talking. Even sticking out your chest, you can see that when I say the word, excuse me real quick, I have a question. I was looking for a place called Zara. You see how unconfident it sounds? By changing the calibration, right? You see that? Unconfident. Now the voice changes. You see that? The state of mind changes. Because of that, the voice, if I overdo overconfidence, like a narcissistic RSD victim, right? The voice sounds cocky and I can't listen. But now when I do this simple calibration, the chest out, you can hear the confidence in my voice. You're like, it's all scientific, but they can dismiss that as being simplified. Oh, and he was acting lessons or what the fuck? You look at acting lessons, it's very hard. If I have to say to be or not to be, that's the question. Not everyone can act. So it'd be like, to be, the overact, or not to be. That is the question. You see that? Autistic as hell. Even if you copied other people, that's like copying a style. You're not copying the fundamentals. It's like art. You're looking at the style. You're not looking at the fundamentals. Do you get it? The fundamentals of art is very simple. Perspective, anatomy, and lighting. Those three. Simple. Simple. You can see the shininess, right? Is the lighting, right? Darker over here. That's the lighting. The reflections of the Rolex. That's lighting in the darkness, right? Anatomy is all the face muscles. Here's the masseter muscle right here. Big muscle, right? This is the sternocleidomastoid muscle. This is called the I think trapezius over here. You see that? Latissimus dorsi, right? And this is the chest muscles, right? The pectoralis major. How do I know all this shit? Because I used to be an artist. I went to art school. That's when I started day gaming in 2001. So I know all this stuff. I had to learn anatomy. I had to learn lighting. I had to learn all that shit. I even had to learn acting. I had to learn script writing, storyboarding to be an animator. So I know this shit. Acting lessons, most people cannot act. So when most people try to do acting lessons and they dismiss it as acting lessons because they have no fucking social skills. Even if she says she's a nurse. Speaking of nurses, my friend Anna is a nurse. I'm just curious. And when you're calibrated, your body language, you have to look like you care. I'm just curious. How long have you been a nurse for? And during COVID-19, is your job very dangerous? And she'll be like, then she'll finally speak because you're calibrated in such a way that forces her to speak more. then she'll be saying, yeah, my job is very dangerous. A lot more people have been dying. Yeah, I do like my job. So a lot of people have been dying. It's very dangerous. I like my job. Around like 8 words. If you just ask her in a stupid Julian Blanc way, are you from Vancouver? Or what do you do for a living? I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse. You see that? 3 verses, like 8 words or 9 words. Do you see that? That calibration and actively listening. Yes. Okay. When she's talking, we'll get her talking more. But that looks simple. RSD will try to do all these fancy fucking tactics. You understand that? Because that you need to hear the key words. You can't hear the fucking words. That's why they like to ask simple questions and look like there's self-amusement with fucking tactic because they have a narrow, shallow thinking. They think it's all game. You're like, holy fuck, John's right. So all this time they're complicating shit because autistic sheeps do not have social skills. They have no empathy whatsoever. They have no guilt whatsoever what they're doing when they're heavily escalating. So what do? They think that more longer DHV stories, the better it is. And I'll get into that. So what happens with these RSD victims is they go to engineering school after the 7th or 8th year. They're going to quit game. So they try to get a social circle going. And what happens with a social circle is that's social skills. Again, they should have learned social skills and social calibrations in the first place. One of the students, 5'7", got laid in a week. He practices 16 hours a day, elite 30. 1 week, got laid. RSD product, 0 results. I got so many testimonials to post. I should have posted another student testimonial, a Filipino student. But I need to get this message out there so you're not gaslighted. Do you guys understand? I don't want you guys to be gaslighted. So they're learning social circle game using social skills, which I already preach. They should have done that in the first place instead of all these gamey tactics that keeps them out of the fucking tribe. So then what happens if they cannot find a white girlfriend who's not very good looking to marry with a 6-figure job? They'll go to Thailand. Do you understand that? They'll move to Thailand and spend the rest of their life out in Thailand. I'm not joking about this. I told this to another RSD victim. You know what he said to me? I heard that from many, many RSD victims. This is their secret plan. And I'm revealing it to the fucking world. This is what happens. You break it down in a way that makes sense. Simple yet powerful. Exactly. When you look at Albert Einstein, he always says that you don't have to overcomplicate things. And I'll get into those quotes in the future. You don't have to overcomplicate things. Any fool can make things look complicated, go through mental gymnastics. It is really the smart person that can break it down in such a way that's easily digestible. Have you noticed that? You look at Michio Kaku, who is a physicist. He's able to explain time travel, aliens, all that stuff in a simple way. The more smarter you are, the more you can break it down in a simple way. The dumber you are, the more mental gymnastics that you want to make happen. So Charisma King, for example, all this mental gymnastics of bullshit is how dumb he really is because he talks super fast because he has so much cortisol in the system. Autism. Stupid. No fucking lay testimonials. It's not difficult. I don't have to make things difficult. I'm telling you exactly how it is. This is why it gets dismissed because it sounds too easy. It's not like I'm using any sort of fancy, public speaking. I'm just speaking to the fucking audience. I'm just telling you guys the truth. So they do live out the rest of their life. That's what they do. They live out the rest of their miserable life. And this is the most common to RSD victims in Vancouver. And I heard this from so many people. So they have these opinions as facts. They try and complicate things with their mental filter, where they think RSD Tyler is smart. He robs you of your life, your time, your soul. If you aren't part of that 1% that has some form of SMV that got laid eventually after a lost fan approach, 6 to 8 years of your life, guys, gone. 6 to 8 years. How is that legal? From any point perspective, if you're not getting results, right? That's called fraud. It's the system is called fraud, and they're angry at me because I went to Dan Pena in California, asked how to take down RSD. He says if they're following the rule of law, you can't do much about it except breaking their fucking legs, metaphorically speaking. What he meant by that is because there's laws here, somehow, because they're not breaking the laws, even though it's complete fucking fraud for day game, their system. It works night game, by the way, their system, a little bit. Day game, no. Not only 1%. How is that legal? That if they're not getting student results, how is that legal? It should be illegal. If the students are not getting results they don't have to get as much student results as my students. But if they're not getting results and they're mentally masturbating, don't you see? They have they understand you sheeps. You are these sheeps. They understand you. They are manipulating you. They are trying to confuse you. And they're trying to, because they know that you don't have social skills and you have a very narrow mental filter. They can manipulate that. They can overcomplicate things because they know you'll never can do the flow drill in a million fucking years for social skills. So that's what they do. Does Dan Pena QA system work for making money? Yes, it does. It actually does work. And the thing is that it requires a lot of self-esteem. So you have to be able to make deals. You have to build a team, and you have to go to the banks and get them to invest. And you have to do a lot of cold calling. You might get 300 rejections in a row, but eventually one of the people will sell the company. And what they do is that you're buying the company from a motivated seller. So what I believe is happening is that sometimes people want to retire and make a living, so they're going to sell their system, especially during COVID. What happens is that you build up the company, right? You build up the net worth of the company, and over time you resell the company, so you have an exit strategy. From there, you start with maybe a $2 million company. You might bring up to like $18 million company. You sell it. You divide the differences with the other investors in your team. You hire lawyers, you hire accountants, you hire the whole team, and you repeat the process. So that's what they call a quantum leap. Does that make sense? It is not for everyone. Most people will freak the fuck out when you're doing this. If you have to go up to a bank with a team of lawyers and accountants and everything like that, it is not easy. I have one of the very best accountants in the whole BC, which is great. And yeah, you got to build a good team to do something like this. Why do you think about John? He just like everything. What I think about him is, I don't give a fuck about him. But if you look at how many late testimonials he has for day game, how many does Todd Valentine have? You see that? Technical, but nowhere near as optimized as my system. 2 late testimonials, and the whole screen was black. You couldn't even see what was on the screen, just like that, for the testimonial. Kind of like, what the fuck? And most of the students are white that get results in Tinder. White. You paying fucking $10,000 as a white guy. So what about all the other minorities? 2 blacks and 1 token Asian. Okay, maybe there's more token Asians. I don't know. Until I can see it, I don't believe it. It's only what I see there. This is my opinion, factually speaking. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. 238 times more late poll testimonials here. If you do the math, it's actually more because I have 477 late poll testimonials. Let's do the math in the calculator. 477 late poll testimonials, day game, because nobody cares about Tinder. Divided by 2, which is how many testimonials he has. 238.5 times more late poll testimonials here. Tinder does not count as fucking late testimonials or late counts. Tinder is a goddamn fucking food app that you swipe with having more race advantage and more picture advantage, right? DHVing. If it's only white students who are getting results in 95% of the cases, then it shows that race does matter. And second of all, that does not require social skills to have Tinder testimonials. So if the student got like 2 lays or maybe 3 during night game, maybe 50 or 100 during Tinder, and 0 day game late testimonials, then their lay count is 2, not 100, 2. How many testimonials? 477. 477. I'll write it down. You can do the math. 477. If you want to see all of them, okay? And sometimes I'll send it to you. Here's a testimonial page, Hayden. 477 right here. I still have to update it because there's always more. You might be thinking, holy fucking hell. But people dismiss because I don't sound complicated. That many. How many do they have in day game? 2. That's my opinion. This is where technical versus scientific. They say they're scientific. I don't think so. You get Indian guys' results. What results do they improve? Just look at the testimonials. I got more fucking Indian students laid in day game than any other dating coach in the entire fucking world combined. But John, you're not Indian. Doesn't matter. You don't have to just go for your own race. You understand that? And sometimes not everyone looks exactly like you. Even if they're the same race, the women may not perceive it the same as you. So that's why bottom up works really well. Top down does not work, as you can see. So that's the truth. Just look at all the Indian testimonials and look at the screenshots. It's not overcomplicated. I mean, come on now. It's like, okay, you didn't know me. Like, there's a lot of new people that have no idea who I am. That's why I had to talk about RSD. But let's continue talking about this. So will you rather sound smart, but the student results are dumb in day game? Because there's none. I mean, Todd V, like fucking 2 late testimonials. Right? Crap Brisbane Kings 0. Or do you go for positive reactions from women without positive compliance ego tripping? Pretending to do day game, even if you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Or would you rather do something that is derived from a scientific process? Split tested. That even works for short, skinny Asians with no SMV and also Indians with no SMV. We're not talking about whitewash Indians or Pakistani looking or Latino looking Indians or, you know, blackwash looking Indians with high SMV. Because whatever race you look like, even if you're Indian, if you look Latino, and I have a friend, my best friend is Indian, but he looks like a Latino guy. He's living right now in Mexico. He's still alive. They don't even know he's Indian. He looks like a Mexican guy. That's his SMV. So it really depends on what type of Indian person you are talking about. So yes, I have nothing but like nonstop Indian student results, more than anyone. And this is just look at my testimonial. Just click on that link, just for 1 second. You can always come back. Then you'll know. Hope that makes sense. That answers your question. And that's not even the screenshot testimonials. Some of them have not made a video testimonials. The screenshot also has way more Indians laid. Like, it's just the beginning. Like, holy shit. I will read a testimonial page in the evening. How about just click on it and just scroll down? See if you can even make it to the bottom. You can. It'll take you until now, till the evening, and your fucking index finger will be tired. You'll be like, oh, fucking so much scrolling, John. My testimonial page, even my landing page, is just so many fucking testimonials that is slowing down my entire site, and I'm losing business. Okay, it's just skim it. Just go through it. You can see where the Indians are, roughly. And then you can see the screenshots. Not all the screenshots have fucking video. That many. Holy shit, look at it. It just doesn't stop. So would you rather sound complicated with no fucking late testimonials like Todd Valentine, Crap Brisbane King, or would you rather be scientific and simple and get nothing but student results? Let's continue. So what happens when you're autistic RSD victim, sociopath, opinions as facts? Some symptoms of the RSD mind, they actually believe they're bullshit as they sprout this nonsense with their shallow mental filter. Wow, John, that sounds exactly like RSD victims. Yeah, it's almost like I make them look like they're subhuman. But they are. They really are. They love, okay, now we're going to make a list of things that you have noticed among RSD victims. They love long routines, DHV stories that lacks depth, like the Inception DHV stories. For example, they have to show off, turning off women in their DHV stories. When my Pakistani mentor can do this indirect thing 3 times, lure. So basically what I mean by that is it's like Inception. It goes one level deeper, and one level deeper. If you're doing direct DHV stories, you are on the surface level, the first one. Look at me, how cool am I, right? I'm this, I'm that. I do this. I'm a DJ. You're just directly telling her. You want to make it seem indirect. You're opening up a plate, like a French cuisine, and you're closing it. You know what? When I was doing DJing in Argentina, and then you close it. Now that's level 2. Now she's like, what the fuck? You're a DJ? You know, I travel many countries around the world, you know. Like for me, I was playing a lot of music and stuff in front of a loud crowd. You see that? You never directly say you're a DJ. And it's really awesome. And the thing is, I had to go from country to country. And some countries, they don't actually provide you like with a trailer. It's really annoying. You see that? You indirectly DHVing, but flipping the switches. They don't understand that because they need to complicate it in level 1 Inception as fucking autistic as possible, stacking value, trying too fucking hard. But oh no, God forbid if John teaches you a shorter version that opens up the fucking chef plate and closes it and it goes deeper and deeper. God forbid that John has some fucking depth to his game, but no, they'll dismiss it. Oh, it's too simple. There's no way it can be that simple. It can be that simple, but that takes way more skills. That's what you don't get. Oh my God. They think RSD Julian is the best pickup artist of all time. This is how they all think for RSD victims. Even if there's zero evidence to support it, they know that in their autistic sheep mind, since they think their self-amusement and simple-minded question sounds good. In reality, I show them how autistic it sounded in another video with RSD Julian's game with a Mao Zedong fucking hairstyle using the structure. But that's what happens when you lack social skills and any depth of thinking, because RSD victims, autistic people, have no depth of thinking whatsoever. So when you're autistic, a sociopath, you tend to understand RSD Tyler. You believe he's speaking to your delusions, the low self-esteem delusions. The whole point of the RSD Tyler mindsets is to get them to take massive action. The sheep runs over the cliff. That's all they do. They run over a cliff. That's why they call RSD victims. His so-called advanced mindsets is just purely to get the sheeps, the autistic sheeps, to spam approach without any social calibrations whatsoever. Seriously, there's no teachability or coachability. There is no adaptability. And there's no skills. So only 1% gets results who have some SMV advantage. It doesn't always have to be about height or looks. There's many different type of SMV out there. But it has to be enough SMV to use the mindsets. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And since RSD victims lack social skills, they'll keep going for positive reactions. Like Tyler. He acts autistic as hell, pretending to hug her. You understand that? When he does something like this, right? It's called social expectations. Do you do Skype coaching or boot camps or just courses? I have boot camps. I have online courses. And if you buy the products, the bundles, it'll come with 6 Skypes. That's even the best deal. Because right now I raised the price of my product for Elite 30 up to $200 because people are taking for granted $160. That comes with a Skype. And also I have Johnny Elite Access. With Johnny Elite Access, it also, you can ask 2 questions a day, like consulting. I'm not coaching, consulting. So yes, you should check out my website. I have programs for everyone. All right, let's continue. Let me get the message across. But please look into it because for you, you may be completely new to who I am. I've been around for a long time. I've just been dismissed all this time because it sounds too simple. Yet the only thing that people would say is like, John, if you didn't have all those lay testimonials, I wouldn't listen to you. They couldn't listen to me because it's too fucking simple and effective. They need to overcomplicate shit. So since RSD victims lack social skills, they'll keep going for positive reactions. So this is a clown game. Escalation. So what I'm saying is that when Tyler goes like this, the woman will walk into it. So he's trying to use social expectations to get positive reactions. He's not getting positive compliance, guys. He's not getting positive compliance at all. Nothing's happening. He's just basically making women kiss each other. That's so fucking retarded. What fucking like stupid ass clown game. This is what happens when you have no social intelligence, no social skills. You resort to touching your way to victory. Every person that overly touches women, have you noticed? We're looking at alpha men, not strategy training, rape charge. We have other tall dating coaches, arrested. You have Justin Wayne, Vice. You have just nonstop. Every person that's been in the news and crucified or been in jail or been whatever, they all have one thing in common. They can't stop touching because they have no fucking empathy for the women. It's just autistic. It's a fact. You look at all the creepy motherfuckers out there. Every single one of them just loves touching nonstop. Just can't stop touching their way to victory. Stupid. I'm not saying you shouldn't touch, but I'm saying there's a calibrated timing. But RSD Tyler does that as the first instance because he lacks out social calibration. Because he has no sophistication or ability to perceive social skills. His son is autistic. Highly autistic. Like, disabled autistic. And he's so autistic, he goes in the basement, he fucking shuts off all the things, Julie and all these people, they shut off all the drapes and stuff. I know this shit because My student, who was RSD victim, runs their hot seats here. They know all that shit. And then he comes up with stupid ideas like, oh, yeah, let's make this social, vocal thing course. Bullshit. It came up with that from the basement. RSD is a Chinese company. Papa Doc or, Nick Cole, whatever, is a Chinese company running this, I believe. Or a Korean, Chinese, Asian company. It's not like RSD Tyler. He is just a mouthpiece, the partner of it. The real company is a Chinese company, RSD. Only they have that kind of understanding of manipulation. So he's a mouthpiece, but the other guy controls the money. Tyler buys stupid shit like hot tubs and stuff. The other guy just sells it. So it's like one person's really in charge. One's the brain, one's the mouthpiece. I'm not stupid. I can see through this shit because I know this shit. Let's continue. So you don't look for positive reactions. That has nothing to do with anything. You look for positive compliance, and you don't get there without social skills. And 1% of RSD victims always deny their own SMV. All sociopaths will say, they were like, oh, it's just my game. Like, what the fuck? That's what they say. They're so delusional. Whatever advantages they have, they'll dismiss it. Every time. They'll try to gaslight you. And they used to say, red pill this, red pill that. And guess what happened? Red pill has been taken apart by self-proclaimed high lay count guy. And I mean the PUA version, not the theory version. They'll do away with all the value. But whatever the half-truth that they use right now, they have this new half-truth pill. They can no longer talk about red pill. They have to talk about more of the truth, but they won't tell you everything. So their entire game is just SMVing it. Game itself is a value delivery system. The weakness of just using gamey game is not for everyone who does not have a baseline value over the fucking line of fuckability. So it doesn't transfer to everyone. So only the 1% is so vocal about game tactics. It's pure autism. And let's look at other things. Charisma King says, oh, it's like acting lessons, or that's what he thinks. If you learn from actors, but in reality, he has zero lay testimonials because that's an idea. They think it's complicated. Let's just copy actors. That has nothing to do with reality. That's a very autistic advice to give to others. Since acting is extremely hard to be or not, you got to try hard. It's hard not. I know how to act because I was taking acting lessons in to be or not to be. That is the question. What is noble in the mind of other people is about acting. I think I can do it because I've been trained to do it. I don't try hard, and it seems more natural when I do it. They can't do it. Most people can't act because they didn't get training. So the idea of copying actors when they're autistic is just going to compound incongruency because in evolutionary psychology, the women can see through that shit. They're going to see like that guy's autistic. He's trying to act cool like James Bond. So fucking stupid. Fuck, let's continue because I need to get the truth out there. Okay, I don't feel good today and I'm teaching students and stuff. I'm too busy to be here, but I need to get this out there. I'm going to continue doing that because that fucking message, that email that they sent me, right? Oh, RSD, your course is not that complicated. Right? He shouldn't have sent me that fucking email. That really sounds exactly all the RSD victims. They all have the same mind, the same autism, the same. I'm describing them exactly. Charisma King says, acting zero fucking lay testimonials. It's just so stupid. Elite 30 has so much social calibrations. It is a fundamental skills. Acting lessons, copying actors is incongruent. Yeah, that's just a style, not substance. Like I said, so stupid. Just like drawing, I said earlier. There's different styles, but the fundamentals is what? Anatomy, perspective, and lighting. Those three. Elite 30 is the fundamentals, which already creates attraction. It already has sexual undertone. But they don't want to believe it because they like to hunch their way to victory. So I'm going to go to my website, and you can see Todd Valentine in it. You'll see he should be called Hunch Valentine. Hunch Valentine. All right, let's take a look. So I made a screenshot. I drew a red line so you can see how much RSD Todd hunches. Okay, at least my site's loading now, unlike before, too many testimonials. right over here. Ready? Take a look. See that? That's Todd Valentine. I drew a line to show his hunch. No matter how much fucking game tactics you use, because of the low value cuck behavior, it will never lead to any late testimonials. And he only got 2 pull infields, which is in a car at nighttime towards his hotel. You see that? His hunch. So he can only build positive reactions. Is there any good coaches out there that you like, or everybody garbage? I would say, I'm not going to answer your questions. I would say, look at how many late testimonials do they have for day game. Not just night game. Night game is better than Tinder. Tinder does not count. Look at how many fucking late testimonials. I want you to investigate this yourself. Then it'll give you the answers of how many late testimonials they got, right? I don't want to be telling you. This is not a cult. I'm not going to tell you. You do your own investigation. You look into who has the most for day game. If whoever you thought were your worship, don't worship. Just look at the testimonials. You'll end up like the student results. Now, then you'll know exactly how much game that they have and how much transferability, because you cannot transfer your perceived natural status or your status. You cannot transfer your fucking height. So, Charisma King may talk a good game, but he has 0 late testimonials. 0. What does that tell you? He may sound like a good coach, but he couldn't even fucking get a student late if he lived to be a billion. Even other coaches, these tall ogres, are like, oh yeah, I got most optimized system. Where the fuck are your day game late testimonials? Doesn't exist. So that's Todd Valentine. Even if you go to Todd Valentine, you look at his newest video. I'm going to look it up. If he's here. Hold on a second. And this is what you realize. This is what you realize. For Todd V. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find him. You're going to see his newest thumbnail. He fucking hunches. You see that? Talk Valentine loves to hunch. You put thirsty. Look at his fucking hunch here. Look at how fucking hunchy hunch. Right here. Hunchy hunch. Right here. Look at that. You think that fucking body language and social calibrations will get laid? Of course not. So all of RSD is garbage. I can tell you that. Because they don't have that much laid testimonials. Wherever. It's almost impossible. It's so stupid. All right. What else do I want to conclude with? So that's the truth, and that's my rebuke. Look at the late testimonials and stop mentally masturbating, trying to feel good, overcomplicating things. Then that's your answer. I'm only gonna stay here for 1 hour. So, any last questions? Because as soon as 1 hour goes by, I'm going to hit end stream here. I hope you guys learned a lot. I wasn't feeling good. I didn't want to be here today. But I need to get the message out there so you guys don't get gaslighted. If that's all the questions for today, like I said, look at the testimonials. It tells you everything. And divide it by how many times compared to mine. 477. There's your answer. How important is text game? Well, people say using texting for logistics, well, the thing is that's something like another Asian dating coach would say. He would say like, how much is Elite 30? $600. No, I mean $200. It is $600 if you buy both products together with 6 Skypes. Don't ask the price, ask the value. If it already works and it has over 250 late pull testimonials for Elite 30. 250 guys for a fucking product. Their products don't even have any late testimonials. Does the price even matter? I was going to charge $399. Doesn't even fucking matter. Use the fucking product. And stop seeing it like your own fucking narrow mental filter way. It's that simple. It's that simple. And use your fucking Skypes. You know it all. You fucking know it all, mental masturbators. You need to know exactly what you need to focus on. You don't know what you don't know. All right, let me continue. But that's the answer. I'm going to end it very soon, in 15 seconds. 10 seconds. Any final questions? 5 seconds. Give it a thumbs up if you guys learned a lot. I'll be back soon. Okay, end of it.